What's going on, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the 49 Carats podcast. It's not so fun today because we're talking about the team's first loss, but to ensure we have a good time anyway, we have a guest with us. The ever so great Andrew Pasquini from the SRO podcast. And we also have my co-host here, Andrew Wrights. How you guys feeling today?
I'm feeling good. Yeah,
Andrew
Andrew was good. I'm excited because even though it was a loss, if I could think of like the most positive person to have on a pod after a loss, it would be Andrew. Thanks for being here, Andrew. We're super excited to talk about the game with you, and hopefully you can put a little sunshine in our lives after that terrible loss last night. But I'm doing good. How are you doing, Andrew?
I'm doing all right. I'm going to try and be positive. I guess the best way to describe that game last night, it was a football game. I was watching with some friends, and when the Niners took the lead late, I turned around and I'm like, this is going to be so dumb when the Niners win this game. It makes no sense how they won it. And then I remember, Aaron Rodgers exists, and I'm already trailing off into the negativity, but positives, they're Levi Stadium has fans again. There, boom, positive.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
See,
works.
I knew you were going to cheer me up. Yeah, that was awesome. And we saw a lot of people from 49ers Twitter meeting up at the game. That's always cool to see internet relationships blossom into real life friendships. So, but I'm sorry that they had to watch that game, even though it was exciting. You don't want to watch one of those in person. It's not fun. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to talking about the loss, but before we do that, we're going to go into our This Week in 49ers History segment. And you want to take us away?
Take it away. This Week in 49ers History. Let's talk about some history and forget about the present really quick. This Week in 49ers History, Terrell Owens had his touchdown celebration on the Cowboys star. If you're a Niner fan, that was an iconic moment, even if you weren't old enough to remember that, or if you were, I know there are some Niner fans who might not have even been alive when that happened. So that was an iconic moment, and it's fun that rivalry has persisted throughout the years, even though, in recent years, the Seahawks rivalry has taken a little bit of precedence, but we always have that moment to look back on. And also yesterday in 1999, Steve Young was temporarily knocked out on a hit against the Cardinals on Monday Night Football. This was the 7th concussion of his career, and he was out for the season. And then, as we all know, he announced his retirement in the offseason. So that was the final nail in the coffin, per se. So not really a happy 49ers memory, but an important one nonetheless. And then I'll just hop right into the news that came out before the game and heading into that Sunday night matchup with the Packers. We saw that Kerryon Johnson was activated to the 53-man roster from the practice squad, which was no surprise, given the injuries that they suffered the week before at that position. And Jermichael Hasty, speak of the devil, and Kevin Givens were placed on IR. Norman was starting over Lenore in Sunday Night Football, which I think came as a surprise to many. And I know cornerback was like the topic of the night for the game. So that ended up kind of being an important piece of news that came out prior to the game. And Emmanuel Moseley was back. So it didn't make a difference, as we all saw. I mean, overall, in the end game. So, but let's hop into what happened.
Yeah, I mean, we can go right into talking about the cornerbacks. I mean, I was one of the people who was kind of bummed to hear that Norman was going to start over Moseley, but I think we saw rather quickly over Lenore, yeah. But I think we saw rather quickly that, why they made that decision. I mean, as soon as Lenore subbed in for Norman after he got hurt, we just saw Rodgers start to pick on him, and we saw how that went. So what did you guys think about how the cornerbacks played and all these injuries? I mean, I don't know what happens in the next couple weeks. Some tough matchups in the next 2 weeks. So I don't know how they make it through this stretch, honestly. What do you guys think?
I just think it's ironic that we all knew that this position was going to be an issue coming into this season. And like, lo and behold, here we are, week 3, granted they're 2-1, but this is like a glaring hole, a glaring issue that, as we saw last night with an offense like the Packers led by a top 3 quarterback, like it's going to bite you in the ass. So last week I said I wasn't hitting the panic button really on anything yet, but I feel like after last night's loss, I'm kind of like my fingers right here a little bit. What do you think, Andrew?
The thing is about the Packers, and I kind of said it at the start, is they have Aaron Rodgers, and he tends to make everything look really bad, no matter how good a team is, unless he's facing a guy like Jameis Winston. Then it gets a little tough from there. But the cornerback depth was an issue. It was always going to be an issue. And it unfortunately, it all starts with the Verrett injury. And I hate going back to it because that was the big worry is what are they going to do if Verrett goes down? Because we had hope that Verrett was going to play a full 17 games because he did it last year. I mean, he played 16, but hey, semantics. Unfortunately, he goes out early. And Josh Norman, man, he's been pretty good. Like I know he had the pass interferences last week against Philadelphia. To me, that's just football, and they weren't blatant. They weren't anything bad. The refs just decided to call it. I thought he did fine. Obviously, Lenore got picked on a little bit. He almost made a hell of a play on the touchdown to Valdez-Scantling, and unfortunately, he didn't have quite enough depth. And back to the Aaron Rodgers thing, and he's just a great throw. Really good at what he does. It is a little scary to see it because there's going to be games where the pass rush can't create pressure like they should. And last night was one of those cases. They're facing a 3rd-string left tackle. Nick Bosa dominated that matchup in the first drive. And then I don't know what happened. I'm waiting to see what the tape says, and we'll see exactly what happened. But when the pass rush isn't creating things, this secondary is going to have issues. And hopefully they can stay healthy from this point, because you do have Norman. And it's really weird that like we're hearing that he was coughing up blood last night. He's day-to-day. Like, I feel like that I'd just be dead. Football players just built different.
It's not funny, but
it is. But like, he is day-to-day though. That's not even me making it up. Like, he's coughing blood, and they're like, no, he's fine.
He'll
normal
play
stuff.
Sunday.
He'll play Sunday. He'll be fine. Yeah. And so now it's like, can Deommodore Lenoir be more of what we saw in the first 2 weeks? And obviously Jared Goff and Jalen Hurts isn't Aaron Rodgers, but a little concerning, but not too concerning because Rodgers is who he is.
Right.
But yeah, overall, I guess back to the original point. Yeah, the depth is a concern because now we're seeing why it was a concern. Not too many teams have a ton of defensive backfield depth. But sometimes you got to wonder, like with the situation, if you could get a guy like, I don't know, just going to draw a name out of a hat, like a CJ Henderson for a 3rd round pick, you can do something
just
like
a random
that.
name.
Yeah. Just draw names out of a hat. My concern is how they're going to address it. And obviously they didn't address it this morning with the CJ Henderson trade. I know there is a name out there that, he was packing soccer lunches yesterday, who could be a 49er by the end of this week. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it's a huge concern, especially seeing what Rodgers did to him last night.
I like your point. Lenore is a rookie, and he was going up against one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL last night. So, I mean, from what we've seen from him so far prior to last night, like, I don't think there's any reason to be worried about him. So I think that is something to keep in mind, that, sure, he was kind of exposed last night, but it was against one of the better offenses. And that's like a big part of last night's game, was that, can they stack up to these teams that have those quarterbacks that can produce high scoring games? And I think we saw last night that, I mean, it was slow to start. They got there eventually, but you can't have those slow starts, going throughout the rest of the season. I don't think it's going to work.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we could get right into the slow starts. Before we do, I just want to say that I know StreamYard changed some of their things. I think Twitter, now you can't comment via Twitter anymore if you're watching our stream. So if you want to say something, go to YouTube. I think you can still comment something there. Our Link is below. The Stragosaurus, that's the username. But yeah, going back to the slow start, I think you make a great point. I mean, to start the game, I don't want to say that there was no run game, because it was almost like they didn't even attempt to run. They got away from that rather quickly. And as we saw, a bit in the second half, they started to get some runs going. So I kind of felt like they got away from it quickly. We saw Jimmy, out of rhythm. He's a big, rhythm guy. Like, he needs to really get in a groove to move the ball. And we saw really early that it was just not working for him. So through 3 weeks, I do feel like part of the slow starts are due to him just not getting in some kind of rhythm early. They didn't have any third downs converted in the first half. That's pretty bad. But what were you guys' thoughts on the slow start?
I feel like it just goes back to, bad throws and big spots, like those third down conversions. There were some high passes. There was so much going on during this game that it's hard to pinpoint like each individual play, but like there are throws that he was making in the second half that he wasn't making in the first half, if that makes sense. And so, like you said, I think, once he gets in that rhythm, like he did in the second half, it's like a much different Jimmy Garoppolo. But the first half, not getting to the end zone, like the whole first half basically was like terrifying. I mean, I thought the game was going to be a blowout at that point. So it was cool to see them turn it around. But I don't know. What do you think, Jim? Oh my God, I just called Andrew Jimmy. They look alike.
He's a handsome Italian.
Yeah.
Can't help it.
Jimmy notoriously
What do you
hairy.
think, Jimmy?
We all, very, very strong beard game from Jimmy Garoppolo.
Okay, so far, Andrew
and Jimmy,
We haven't had a guest in a while.
I'm honored you picked me.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the second week in a row we've seen Jimmy Garoppolo have a slow start, and I keep going back to it. It's easier to have a slow start and make it up against the Eagles than having a slow start against a team that has Aaron Rodgers and making it up. And if it wasn't for Cannon's kick return, it was going to be 17-0 going into the half.
Yeah.
And they got lucky. I'm not going to say lucky. They get the return, and it sets them up in good field position, and they barely even score in that situation. Jimmy, I almost called Kyle Shanahan Jimmy. You're doing it to me now.
Everyone is Jimmy.
Kyle Shanahan puts his balls on the table, and he's like, no, like 4th and goal, we need a touchdown here. Trey Lance here. You welcome to the game. You haven't played since Detroit, but hey, let's try it. And thank God they have Trent Williams on that side, and he was able to really clear the lane. I think he probably scores without that block. The block is just really fun to watch.
Yeah.
But for very well done 2 for 1 from them, because Jimmy kind of came out with a bit of a rhythm. They go downfield. I know he had a couple of bad throws in the second half. I know the deep ball, man, the one he threw to Kittle was just such a duck, and it's so discouraging, because then you know you're not going to see a deep shot from Kyle again with Garoppolo. So now the offense is put in a box of 20 yards, or 20 yards is being nice, but 20 yards and inside. And now you throw in, they're not really using the run game, at least not well. You're not going to win a lot of games where Jimmy Garoppolo's throwing the ball 40 times and you're running the ball 21. You're not going to do it that's what Jimmy Garoppolo is. He needs that run game to work to kind of free up space. But now teams are starting to take the middle away, and when they start doing that, it gets concerning. And at some point, you got to wonder when. I'm not calling for Trey Lance to start yet. I'm not going to go that far, but man, at some point, you need to go 11 on 11. You need 11 best offensive players on the field, and I think in terms of physical talents, not quarterbacking, because that's another conversation. In terms of physical talent, Trey Lance has more big play capability than Jimmy Garoppolo at this point. Because Jimmy Garoppolo's big plays are throwing it underneath 5 yards and hoping George Kittle breaks about 18 tackles like he does, or Debo makes a man miss, or things like that. And then that's how they get the big chunk plays. I mean, you even go back to the Philadelphia game. The big play was Garoppolo throwing it about 15 yards downfield, and a beautiful throw, and Debo swerving through the defense for a first down. I think they score on the very next play. So at some point, you need to see more Trey Lance, and preferably him throwing a little more, just at least get rid of the illusion of, oh, Trey Lance is in there, they're running the ball in this situation. So we'll see how he adapts. I'm still staying on my timeline of after the bye is when we're going to see a lot more Trey Lance, and that's just what it is for now. It's really hard to watch. It's a hard offense to watch, and they have a almost a shortcut to making it a little bit easier to watch. So,
yeah.
Yeah, and some stat that someone posted earlier today. So last year, Adam Gase with Sam Darnold had the NFL's worst yards per play at 4.7. Currently, or through the last 2 weeks, 49ers are at 4.5 yards per play. Worse than the Jets last year. Fun stuff. I mean,
worse than the worst.
My good friend Kyle Madsen posted that one. I was actually going to reference that. So Steph read my mind.
Yeah.
Yep. We're on the same page. And something else that someone commented here. Did you see all the still shots of every Green Bay defender within 10 to 11 yards of the line of scrimmage? Yes, it was very clear. And I think that was part of the reason that, Jimmy struggled early, because what's usually open for him, those throws that get him in rhythm, they were not there because the Packers had safeties pretty down low. They had everyone playing close to the line of scrimmage and pretty much saying, we dare you to throw it. Mm-hmm. And the one time that Jimmy did, as we saw, it was that duck that ended up getting intercepted. It felt like that ball was in the air for quite a long time. That's one thing I'm noticing about Jimmy's throws is I don't know, they just don't have that zip to them.
Okay, so I know I posted about this, but I was watching the game in the car because I was on a road trip home from Oregon, and we had stopped to get gas, and I still had the game going on the iPad, and I ran in really quick to go to the bathroom. And then when I came back out, I just saw the second part of the interception, basically right after he had caught it and was running down the field. And I thought it was a kickoff. I don't that's what the pass looked like. I had no idea what the hell was going on. And then once I realized, I was like, damn it, dude. But it's funny that you say that the pass was in the air for a really long time, because I didn't even know what I was looking at first. It was insane. Sorry.
It has nothing to do with the game why I'm laughing, but I may or may not have come out of the bathroom on the replays of the interception. And I asked my friend, did I miss anything? And he said, yeah, you missed quite a bit. And I turned to the TV and I see the replay of just the ball floating. So Angie and I both missed the same play because we were in the bathroom.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
There it is.
I love that. Love that.
Yeah.
And another thing, so on that same point of Garoppolo and throwing deep, he's tied with Jacoby Brissett with the least amount of 20-yard completions downfield. Keep in mind, Brissett has only started one game.
Dude, that's hilarious.
So
that's not great.
Yeah, and the throw, there's only been one throw for the both of them. They're tied.
I say this all the time, and it just cracks me up when we complain about Jimmy Garoppolo not throwing deep passes like we expect him to or something. This has been
there's a reason he doesn't.
Exactly.
There's a reason he doesn't.
And that's my whole thing. It's I don't know. There's just so much. I know they're 2-1, but there's just so much frustration with the decision to trade up for a quarterback and how it's being handled. And I think a lot of fans feel that same frustration. Yeah. Why did we give up all this draft capital and trade up to draft a quarterback who's not ready and who apparently can't do better than, the least amount of 20-yard completions down the field in the NFL, when everyone knows that, likely he can do better than that. And of course that's Trey Lance. So it's just an interesting time to be a 49er fan, as it always is.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm sure we'll talk more about the quarterbacks. We just can't get off the topic of quarterbacks. Yeah. We'll talk about them in a bit. But let's talk a little bit about the defense. I don't want to say that they collapsed, because I feel like that's really a harsh word in, a game that I didn't think they played that bad in, considering all the injuries that we saw to the cornerbacks, and keeping in mind that you're playing a future Hall of Fame quarterback. But what did you guys think in particular the coverage that they were playing on that last big play to Davante Adams?
I'll let Andrew go first this time.
Okay, I was like, okay, am I going? It's you want to say some of it is, as I've said countless times, it's really a drinking game at this point. Drink every time I say it. It's Aaron Rodgers, Davante Adams. Like what can you ask for? But that last drive, I'm so my issue is, if I'm misremembering, like tell me, because I need to rewatch the game still at some point here. Is the prevent defense only prevents you from winning, and they really played soft that last drive, as a lot of teams do. This isn't even a Niner thing. It's just more of an NFL issue. The defense was average at best last night. Like let's be honest. Like we're so used to it being so good. I was asking I don't know if you guys know Josh Eccles. I was talking to Josh Eccles, and it was just like, can you think of 3 players that like, because Jason and I for the sprint right, we do the 3 stars. Can you think of 3 players that like would be worthy of it? And you can't really do it. And like the defense is part of that. It's the pass rush wasn't there. The linebackers were okay. Like Fred Warner had a mid game for what we're used to out of him. The secondary got a lot of ticky-tack pass interferences calls. I'm not blaming the rest for anything though, because they were pretty bad both ways. Like that was one of those games where whoever loses could say, yeah, the refs weren't great for us, but you got to also acknowledge they weren't great either way. I mean, what was the term that the head guy, the ref in NBC's booth said was it was a mechanical failure for for the guy to not be behind the play where Davante Adams gets his gets hit in the head by Jimmy Ward, which not on purpose. But anytime there's a game where the refs say, mechanical error, probably not a good game. But yeah, the defense was just mid, and that's really, I think, the best way to describe what they did last night. They did a good job in the middle of the game when the Niners were able to make that comeback. But then again, like that was because of the back-to-back drives. But to give up 17 in the first half and then 10 up to the final 50 seconds of the game, like, yeah, they deserve credit for that. But it's hard with this secondary depth.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest concern still at this point is the secondary depth. And you see what happens when the pass rush can't do what they're going to do. And it results in the Packers winning 30-28 in a game that really the Niners had no business being in. So like this game's hard to talk about. Like if I'm being 1,000% honest from a Niners standpoint. So the defense didn't excite me last night, and there might be questions coming about, well, hey, is Ryan's the real deal? Because that's just how we work, and it's still early, and people are already questioning Trevor Lawrence down in Jacksonville. So I think it's not fair, but people will start saying, hey, is DeMeco Ryans built for this? Can he do this? And I obviously way too much left to be played, but last night raises some questions. There we go. That's the short way of saying what I was trying to figure out. I couldn't figure out that sentence. He's still learning, and that's what it is.
Yeah, it goes back to what you said earlier. When the pass rush struggles, your secondary is going to have that much more pressure on them. And when your secondary isn't your original, starting guys, they're going to be a step behind to begin with. So everything has to go perfectly for the most part for an NFL team to win a game, for an NFL team to make the playoffs, for an NFL team to win the Super Bowl. It has to be like a perfect storm. And I think last night was a perfect example of what happens when a bunch of little things go wrong individually and just combine together to compound into a heartbreaking loss with 3 seconds left on the clock. I mean, it came down to that 3 seconds. So, the little mistakes on defense were compounded by the little mistakes on offense, by the turnovers. Everything has to go perfectly, or at least one part has to do their job perfectly. And we didn't see that tonight. It was on the coaches. It was on the offense. It was on the defense. And I think a lot of people realize that. And it's easy to just like lay blame on just the defense for the loss because of things you saw, or lay the blame just on Jimmy Garoppolo because of the things you saw. But really it was much more than that. But yeah, if you give Aaron Rodgers not only time on the clock, but time in the pocket, in a clutch situation like that, you're going to get burned. And I mean, he had all the time in the world to find Devontae Adams during that last game-winning drive. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I want to say, I have to give credit to the Packers because it really looked like they did their homework and they saw some things that they could exploit. They did a great job neutralizing the pass rush. We saw Bosa look great in that first defensive series, and then kind of after that, like the pass rush just kind of disappeared. But I think it was mostly due to what the Packers were doing on offense, trying to get the ball out quick. I saw a few times D'Amico Ryans try to put in like a corner blitz, and they just had a guy ready to, block it. So, I mean, I got to give credit to them. I think they did everything they needed to do to win. And I don't think, like, by the time the Niners tried to adjust, I think it was too late, right? 3 seconds too late. I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's really what it came down to.
It just sucks because the defense has always been that one part of the 49ers game that fans can count on, that the coaches can count on, really. And, even during that last drive by the Packers, they had their 4 best pass rushers out there. They brought in the A team to try and stop them, and they weren't able to. So I think a lot of teams that the 49ers are going to play in the coming weeks should watch that game, and they should watch what the Packers did to stop that pass rush, because it made all the difference in the game at the end of the day.
Shanahan got beat by Matt LaFleur. I mean, that's really what
spanked. Yeah,
should be said. Yeah, I mean, he got beat, and I can't remember, and I'm sure I'm forgetting some obvious ones, but I can't remember a game where Shanahan was beat as bad as he was last night. I mean, can you guys? I can't.
I could think of a couple Super Bowls.
We won't go there, or we'll be here all night.
Sorry.
Now let's move on to some news from after the game.
Got something on my arm. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. If anyone saw that, you didn't.
What is that?
I don't know.
Like
some kind of makeup, probably. I don't know.
Okay.
Don't worry about it.
All right. Some news from after the game. So Josh Sherman, as we talked about, he did get hurt, coughing up blood. So the diagnosis there was that he had a lung contusion, bruised lungs, tissue damage, the usual, and he hopes to play. So
football is war, dude. Football is war.
Dude,
lung contusion? That sounds gross. I didn't see that. I just saw he was coughing blood. I think I would rather be told, "Hey, Andrew, you're coughing blood," than a lung contusion, because I'd be afraid like they'd have to remove my lung to fix it or something.
I think that's just like a bruise. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. Contusion. I mean, bruised lungs. Yeah.
So he just
tissue damage. I mean, I don't know, but he hopes to play Sunday, so we'll see how that goes. The 49ers could definitely use him. Kwon Williams is also out for a few weeks, at least with the calf strain. That one's going to hurt as well.
Early, right? He came out pretty early.
He came out, look at my notes, it was like the second defensive drive. So almost a whole game. Yeah. We saw Lenore sub in for him a bit at nickel. And then George Kittle is day-to-day with calf soreness. See, I was worried when I saw that George Kittle was day-to-day. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, we can't do this anymore. Like, why? Why, God? But it's just calf soreness. We know he can tough those things out. So, he's okay. He's
fine.
He's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. Kerryon Johnson, he was activated for this game. I think he played a few snaps, 9 snaps on special teams. He reverted back to the practice squad, so he wasn't very involved anyway. So we'll see if he gets activated again next game. We'll see. Although they do expect Elijah Mitchell to be back. That's some good news. Yeah. And then Maurice Hurst and Devontae Harris will be eligible to return from injured reserve. So, I mean, at least they have Devontae Harris. They have Devontae and Dante in the cornerback room. And
TikTok. Have you guys seen it?
No.
And and Maurice Hurst. I think that will help in the defensive line rotation as well. Dude, those guys were gassed last night towards the end of the game. And so both teams had just about 30 minutes time of possession. So it was pretty even. I was actually surprised because it felt at one point that the Packers had the ball a lot. But I want to get into our next segment here because, like, obviously after a loss, there's a lot of issues that we saw. As we mentioned, like, this kind of felt like a team loss. There wasn't blame on just like one person. So I'm gonna name off a few things, and you guys tell me whether it's a valid concern or is it just a one game overreaction. So let's see. I'm gonna start with the running game. Is this a valid concern or an overreaction? Andrew, I'll start with you.
Overreaction. I could care less about the running game issues last night, just because they're always so good at it. There's going to be games where this happens, and I think part of the issue is you fall behind 17-0, you kind of have to abandon it, but then you come back and it's 17-14, and they just never really came back to it, which was interesting. Overreaction on the run game. I'm not especially with Elijah Mitchell coming back, and I want to say I forget his name. All I know is he's 6'2" and he's 230 pounds. I just want to see how that works in a Shanahan offense because I think that'd be fun.
Jack has Patrick, right?
Jack has Patrick. That's the name. He went to Florida State. I should remember that, but Florida State is very easy to forget right now.
Yeah. I also think it would be an overreaction to be overly concerned about the running game right now. Like Andrew said, Elijah Mitchell is coming back. I didn't think Trey Sherman looked bad. I thought he looked like a guy who was, getting a large amount of snaps for the first time this season. So I liked what I saw from him. The touchdown was great. I mean, to see him just barrel over all those, the big old pile at the goal line, that was awesome. And like Andrew said, Andrew took all my points. You can't run the ball a lot when you're down 17-0. And when all of your starting running backs are hurt, so I think this is something that was kind of a 1 week fluke. I don't know how much of it fell back on the play calling. Cause like you said, even when they did catch back up, they didn't really go back to it. They were handing the ball off and pitching the ball more to Ayuk and Debo than they were the running backs. And I know Kyle Juszczyk played a few snaps at running back as well. So it was just like, it was an anomaly of a game for the running game, I think. And I don't think there's really any reason to be like, oh shit. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah. 7 different players carried the ball. Sherman had 10 carries. Juszczyk had 5. I also agree. I think it's an overreaction. I think the offensive line, I don't want to say they struggled, but there were a few plays. I'm looking at Alex Mack that, they didn't do all that great in. And again, I just think the Packers just played the running game well. Also, do you guys feel like Kyle Shanahan hates Trey Sherman? Like, why do I feel like he just... I don't know. There's just something weird about it. Like,
I think he hates a lot of people.
Like, just going from valid concern to overreaction to like, hey, does he hate this person? Am I overreacting on this?
This is why we have you on, to keep us level-headed. We need it.
Yeah, maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know. Who knows? We might not be alive on Sunday. I don't know. I don't know anything really.
This is true. This is also true. Yeah.
He's just such a hard guy to read. Like, he's so sassy, and like the way he answers questions without answering them. I can imagine how it would be like A, hard, and like B, maybe a little scary to play with him or play for him. So, I mean, hate is a strong word, but like, I think it's very easy to piss him off, if that makes sense.
Yeah, he's definitely a tough guy to
I mean,
impress.
this in the nicest way. If he was your boss at work, you would definitely have an anxiety attack asking for like the day off.
Yeah.
He's that type of guy. And I mean that in the night. It works in football, not at like Target. Like Target, that's not cool, but like the football, yeah, you could get away with that as good.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, tough love.
Yeah.
That's an age-old coaching mechanism. So I don't know if it works, but.
So next one, Jimmy Garoppolo. And I'm saying Garoppolo as the entire package of Jimmy Garoppolo, everything that comes with him. Is this a valid concern, or is he a valid concern, or is it just an overreaction?
I will not be answering this. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I think there are things to be concerned about.
Yeah, that's fair.
Does that make sense?
No one threw anything at you. Don't worry.
Exactly.
Listen, now there's some things to have concerns about, and there's some things to overreact about. That is an answer.
Right. Yeah, I'm just gonna both. I'm just gonna say both. The first half was concerning. The second half was much better. But that's the story of Jimmy Garoppolo. So overall, is that a concern? Maybe. Yeah. I guess if we're gonna go there, I mean, I want a guy who's gonna come out from the moment the clock starts in the first quarter and start balling out personally. But I'm just a fan of a team. Like, what do I know? So, but I'm going to say, I'm just going to go with concern. I'm going to go with concern. Don't shoot me. Don't hurt me. Doesn't mean I think he should automatically be pulled and replaced with Trey Lance. But I think that maybe Trey Lance can be used a little more. I think there's definitely room for concern there. I'll stop talking.
I'll say concern. I'll just come out and say it. It is a concern. I mean,
decisive.
anytime there's a stat that comes out and the sentence starts with Adam Gase's offense and you're comparable to it, I mean, let's look at what the issue is. It's the quarterback.
But is it on Jimmy?
He's the guy throwing the football.
I know.
That's the thing. Is it on Jimmy? I don't know, man. There's smarter people in the world than me who can answer that for you, and I don't think any of them are going to be right. I'm not going to be right. I don't think anybody of them are. But yeah, I think it's a valid concern because there does feel like there's a limitation, and that limitation is about 15 yards, right? He can't ask for him to do much more than that. And I know it sounds mean and all that stuff, but it's what it is. It is what it is. And when teams can just pack a tight box to prevent you from running the ball, and because they know a quarterback's not going to beat them, it makes it a fair thing to do. Put a fair amount of blame on him. Yeah, Kyle can drop plays to make it work better, but at some point there's going to be a ceiling they can reach, and it feels like they've already reached it. I don't think it's at a point yet where Trey Lance should be the starter and play every down and be the guy who takes this team. But that conversation's 2 or 3 weeks away from being a very real thing. And hey, man, if you want Jimmy Garoppolo to be the starter, just name him the starter and let Trey Lance be the offensive weapon who just takes all the snaps at quarterback. Whatever. That's a good happy medium, right? Just do that. But yeah, it's a big concern, and it's very, 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 very hard to look away from it, because you look at guys like Aaron Rodgers and Matthew Stafford and Russell Wilson and see what they can do for their offenses. I mean, you look at the Rams, and all of a sudden, they're an offensive juggernaut now. Jared Goff kind of held them back a bit last year, and now all of a sudden that top is off. And can Trey Lance be that guy? I don't know. I don't think anybody knows. If I know there's Twitter spaces that Trey Lance is going to be better than Jimmy day one, and we're going to be fine. It's I see
that simple.
I see why Kyle's a little afraid to open that door. It's not as easy as Trey Lance has a better skill set. I think that's a fact, right? I don't think anybody can disagree with that. Do we want to find out if it works now, or do we want to find out if it works next year? And I totally get why Kyle, because what rookie quarterback is impressed? I know it's very early. I'm not going to try and say Justin Fields or Trevor Lawrence or any of them are busts yet, but no rookie quarterback is impressed yet. And you have the one that only played one game last year. That's something too that you got to keep in your back of your head. I think back to my original point is, let's just work him into the offense more. It can't be 3 snaps, no snaps, 3 snaps. It has to be from here. He plays 3 snaps last week. Let's see what he can do in 7 against Seattle. Let's see what he could do in 9 in Arizona. Bye week, give him 2 weeks to prepare. maybe we see 15 or 20 because we feel more comfortable with him throwing the ball. It's a scary door to open, and I think Kyle's going to open it like you should in horror movies, where you just kind of slowly look and see what happens. And if it's scary, you just close it and say, hey, we got a problem now. Or if it's a good room, you open it all the way and
you run with it.
He's your starting quarterback or your starting offensive weapon.
Yeah. Someone commented, Dawson commented that Jimmy needs to take notes from Derek Carr and just feed the tight end.
Yeah.
And I noticed during yesterday's game, and I know a lot of people have been saying that, like, why are they throwing the ball to Kittle? Every time he gets it, Yacht King. But I noticed yesterday that Kittle was open a lot.
Yeah.
And he just wasn't getting the ball thrown to him. And when he did get the ball thrown to him, aside from, his receptions that he did have, it was like a complete miss. So it's hard to utilize, the best player on the field when your quarterback is constantly under pressure. And we know Jimmy Garoppolo does not do well under pressure. And he can't get the ball to him even when he's open. So it's just like going back to what I said, just the perfect storm. But I think we're both chilling with concern. What about you, Steph? Do you have concern?
Okay, so you are concerned.
Yeah, no, I said I was concerned.
Okay, I thought you said it was like in the middle. Okay,
I started, but you know how I do. I start with a very vague thought, and then I kind of my ADHD. I have to like narrow it down. So
okay,
I'm
great.
concerned.
Yeah, I am also concerned. However, I will say, I'm not long-term concerned because I know that they do have Trey Lance waiting in the wings. That's like, God, do you guys hear that? Sorry,
cat?
There's like,
is it a cat?
No, they're picking up trash outside. Sorry.
Oh,
no,
if you're clanking, sorry about that.
Life.
Yeah, just life happened in the background.
Yeah.
But yeah, so at least that you already have your guy in the background just in case, Garoppolo really stinks it up. And again, like I'm on board with you, Andrew, and I think, even Angie, you've said this as well. Like, I don't think it's at the point where we're ready to bench Garoppolo, where I'm talking I'm making decisions out here. The 49ers, I don't think Kyle Shanahan is at that point yet. As we said in our last episode, it's going to have to be really bad before, they make that decision. And I mean, this is now a 17 game season. We're 2-1, I think that's something that's, important to remember. And, I don't think Kyle Shanahan's going to be panicking quite yet. That being said, again, we're reaching this like really tough stretch of these like 3 games. They dropped the first game. Now you're going to be playing a Seahawks team that has lost 2 in a row. That they're going to be doing their homework as well. They're going to see what the Packers did, as we mentioned, and it's not great with what the 49ers put on tape. So yeah, there is reason to be concerned, at least for this short stretch, as long as we have Garoppolo be the starter.
But can we talk about how loud Levi's Stadium was when Trey Lance came in, though?
It was
was
really loud. And it's so much that they had to tell like the crowd, because they're on offense. It's like, you got to be quiet.
Yeah.
They're like, come on, guys. No.
Yeah.
Keep that energy.
Yeah, keep that energy, but just tone it down a little bit. And now Trey Lance threw the first touchdown of the season and the first home touchdown of the season, or he ran the second one in, but he had the first touchdown on the road and he had the first touchdown at home, which I thought was pretty cool. And a sign of good things to come. And, I think we can all agree, not yet, obviously, because I feel like with people wanting to hit the panic button now, if Kyle Shanahan was on the same page, it already would have been done. Yeah. So we'll just have to see what happens.
I mean, there's been people trying to will Trey Lance to start since April, right? Like,
yeah.
If Kyle Shanahan was like anybody on Twitter, oh man, this team would be more of a mess, because is what it is. But yeah, and my point more with the keep the same energy is when he does take the starting job from Garoppolo, I need standing ovations like every time he breaks the huddle.
Yeah.
Keep that energy, guys. Like if we're cheering for him to come on for a gadget play where he's in shotgun and Kyle Juszczyk comes across and just takes the QB sneak, which is great. chef's kiss.
Yeah.
Keep that energy when he's the starter. And every time he comes out of the ready break and Levi's just gets loud and they're like, guys, shut up. Like, stop.
Yeah.
Keep that energy.
Yeah.
Keep it.
It's exciting, man.
It is exciting times ahead. Moving on to the next one.
We're
Seen the
cap or
past.
no cap?
Oh yeah. Wow. Okay. Yes. Cap or no cap really
Yeah.
quickly because Kyle Shanahan had an interesting comment after, I think it was today, actually. No, it was right after the game, I think. He said that he thought Jimmy Garoppolo played real well. So is this cap or no cap? And I'm sorry, Andrew. I mean, you might be lost here. So cap or no cap in this segment, we pretty much have a quote or something like that. And we say whether it's cap or no cap. I mean, and you know what that means, right?
Yes.
He's hip with it.
Yes.
I'm a cool kid. I just Urban Dictionary those. So don't tell anybody.
Oh my God. So I think we should let Andrew go first since he's our guest. Do you think Kyle was capping?
I said this on Steph's Twitter space last night. I'm gonna say no cap. I'm gonna say no cap because I feel like Kyle Shanahan was referring to later in the game. Because if we look at it as a whole, right? It wasn't good. It wasn't great. It wasn't exciting. It just was. It was Jimmy Garoppolo, what he is. But he did stabilize. And that's what he tends to do. Is unfortunately he starts slow and he stabilizes. And when he does, like people are mad about the fumble. And my thing on the fumble is that stuff happens. You try and pump fake it and the ball slips. You'll see that happen every so often. It doesn't happen all the time, but it happens. It's like, I don't know, when the quarterback and center, drop a ball on a snap, stuff like that happens. And it's unfortunate because of the timing of the play, right? Of course, it's in the fourth quarter where the Niners need to go down and score and the Packers get 3. And hey, guess what? The difference of the game was 2. But I do think he stabilized, and like that final drive is what we've somehow gotten used to from Garoppolo. And I know people are going to say, oh, the Super Bowl, Andrew. Yeah. What about the 7 fourth quarter drives he had during the season? We just magically forget about those. He tends to do that. He's really good in situations where like third down, man, he's a really good quarterback on third down. And I don't understand it. He just is. So yeah, I'm going to say no cap just because I thought Garoppolo played fine. It's just, he played fine against Philadelphia, and we could live with it because he had no turnovers. Unfortunately, he played fine last night, and it's a little different because he had the 2 turnovers before he stabilized. And that's where it comes from.
Very good. Andrew's spitting. Andrew's in his bag tonight, man.
Hot fire.
I don't think Kyle was capping. I think he was like pleased with Jimmy's performance. I mean, they ended up being in the game. I think it's cap that Jimmy Garoppolo played well. I'm sorry, Andrew. I agree with you. Like that second half and those drives that he had, he looked pretty good, but like do it for the whole game. Like don't suck the entire first half and then have to play catch up in the second half. I mean, I talked about it already. There were a lot of things that went wrong this game. And I mean, I think the biggest mistake of the game was leaving 37. I'm pretty sure it was 37 seconds. 37 seconds on the clock for Aaron Rodgers. I think that was hands down the biggest mistake of the game. Obviously there's a lot of things that went wrong, but I mean, the fact of the matter is Jimmy sucked for the first half and that's a big part of the reason why it was 17-0. I know the defense. It's just, I don't know, dude. It was a frustrating game to watch. It was very frustrating to watch the first half. Yeah. Maybe it's because I was driving through Mount Shasta, going around those turns, and I was getting a little car sick, and I had to watch that. But I had to watch them struggle to complete a pass. But I don't think Kyle was capping per se. I think Kyle never has a bad word to say about Jimmy Garoppolo, and that's that.
Okay, so me and Ange, I don't think we've ever disagreed on our cap or no cap segment, but this is our first disagreement.
Oh man, I'm here for it. History.
So you think he
Okay,
was capping?
I do. I mean, it's coach speak. What else is he going to say? Like, I don't know.
No, I want him to say it though. Like, I hate that he's ambiguous about everything, and I hate that he doesn't say what he's actually thinking. It's like, what is the point of even having a press conference? It's annoying.
It was funny because I feel like when Shanahan first became the coach, everyone was like, wow, like he's so transparent, what a breath of fresh air. And like now it's just like, we're putting our tinfoil hat on every single day. But no, I mean, I think it's coach speak. I don't think Garoppolo played real well, as he said. I think he played fine. We know that he did have that. He had that late score, and that's great. But like one thing that Jordan tweeted earlier today was, it's great that Garoppolo has these clutch moments, but you wouldn't even need these clutch moments from him if not for all these other mistakes that he made.
Yes, thank you. At Splash Cousin,
front of the pod. Yeah, so I think he was capping. We know that Shanahan, he sticks with him, but I think Garoppolo drives him a little mad,
Yeah, it goes back to what we were talking about last week, how like, dude, it would have been a complete shit show if Jimmy Garoppolo was pulled and Trey Lance was put in, like when it was 3-0 against the Eagles. And we were like, that would have been the 49ers fan base would have exploded. It would have just been fueling the fire if Kyle came out after the game last night and was like, yeah, Jimmy sucked. Like, what? Like,
yeah,
why would he say that when
exactly? Right. I don't expect him to. Yeah,
when not everyone, but like a lot of people are just gunning for Trey Lance to get the start. Like, why would if that's not what he wants, why would he add fuel to that fire? So I think it kind of lets us know where his head is at in terms of the quarterback situation too. So you're absolutely right.
That's a good point, Andrew. Though. I'm glad you said that.
I just like pictured in my head what Twitter would have been like if Kyle came out and said, yeah, Jimmy sucked. Like, what Christ, man, what are we even doing here, right? Like, I want to picture Twitter on that night.
Yeah, you saw how people reacted when all Debo said was like, it wasn't a great ball, and I have to make my quarterback look good when he caught that touchdown pass against the Lions. Like, everyone was like, oh, he said Jimmy sucks. Like, they lost their freaking minds. So, yeah, exactly. Like, I think it's a game, and you have to be very careful with what you say. So, you're right, Steph. I should have said cap. I should have said cap.
Are you now changing your mind?
I want to be part of history.
No, I thought that he believed it, but maybe like you presented a compelling argument, and I'm like, oh, you know what? Maybe he does think Jimmy sucks. Like, I don't know.
You have to stick to your narrative, Andrew.
I'm sticking to it.
Just stick to it. Well, we're keeping history here. So our next one. So now going back to our valid concerns or overreactions. Seeing the pass rush neutralized. Do you guys think this is a valid concern? You guys think we see this again, or is it just an overreaction? Ange?
I thought it was concerning that they had their third string left tackle in, and Nick Bosa was only able to manage 2 pressures on the night. I thought that was a little concerning. If I could pick one thing about the pass rush that was the most concerning, that would be it. And I think a lot of people share the same sentiment. So I'm going to go concern. Overall concern, because with how good this defensive line is, that shouldn't be happening, bar none, in my opinion. IMO.
I was concerned about it last night. I think it's a 1-game concern. Like, why didn't it work? The defensive line is way too good for it to happen again. God, please don't let it happen again. Because if it happens against a team like Seattle, I don't know why that name comes to mind, who has really good receivers like DJ Metcalf and a good quarterback in Russell Wilson, and you can't create pressure on him, you're asking for trouble, buddy. It was concerning last night. It's an overreaction if we wake up today and are like, hey, we're afraid of this defensive line again. What's going on? But if they do the same thing next week against another team who doesn't have a great offensive line to a point where their starting quarterback doesn't really maybe not want to be there anymore, then we could start talking about valid concerns. But yeah, for now it's an overreaction.
I feel like everything that we say, like, oh, we're not concerned yet, like the next week it becomes like an actual concern. So I hope that this doesn't pan out that way. I hope they turn it around and are able to fix that against Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a concern in this game. But I think I just think Packers did everything right. Like I mentioned, Aaron Rodgers' average time from snap to release last night was 2.15 seconds, second fastest of any quarterback in week 3. So that helps. I mean, when you can do that, and again, I think part of the reason, he's able to get the ball out so quickly goes back to the corners. If the corners are struggling, then, if they can't cover for 2 seconds, then yeah, that's what's going to happen when you're playing against Aaron Rodgers. Could happen again against Russell Wilson. We'll see.
But even on the plays where he wasn't getting the throws off quickly, he had a lot of time in the pocket.
Yeah.
So and
I'm not, so I'll have to watch in the all 22, but so yesterday I just figured it was because they were so gassed. I don't know. That was just the way I try to justify it to myself. But
that's concerning. I mean,
that's definitely concerning. So 49ers managed only 7 pressures against Aaron Rodgers in just 1 sack.
But when you consider what you said with his 2.15 seconds getting the ball off, there's not a lot of or as many opportunities for pressure in that case, right?
Yeah. Yep. And sorry, my cats are getting fed.
No. That's okay.
She just muted herself.
Oh no! I want to hear.
That's my favorite sound. Yeah, is hearing the cat food.
No, it's they have an automatic feeder, and it just went off. I'm surprised you guys didn't hear my little one meowing. She's meows, even though she has an automatic
on
feeder.
Camera.
I need everything from Steph in Colorado. I just need that. I need to know the ambiance of what's going on in there.
What's Steph doing? What's her life like?
It's the mystery.
It's a mystery.
Okay, so I guess I didn't say whether it was a valid concern or overreaction for me. I think it's an overreaction. I'm hopeful that they'll get it going. Against Seattle. But that's also a very tough opponent, as always, for our defensive line. So, yeah.
Got to watch out for Chris Carson.
Love this team.
Yeah.
I just honestly, I'm just a concerned person. I just
that's fair.
am overly concerned about a lot of stuff for absolutely no reason. So, and I think a lot of fans are, let's be real, right?
Yeah. Some more than others. So next one, cornerback depth. Is this a valid concern or an overreaction? I think we know where this one's going to go.
Yes. I don't think I need to say anymore. Yes, it is. It's it was the biggest concern entering the season. And yeah, as we said, earlier is a lot of teams are worried about the secondary depth. I don't know what we're doing. Not a lot of teams have concern. Oh, C for concerned. Okay, I thought C for captain.
I was wondering what the hell that.
The B belt captain. Too soon.
Yeah, should I get some tape? No, but a lot of teams have that concern. Is not a lot of teams are super deep, and the Niners did try and address. And I know we like to say the name of Asante Samuel Jr. I'll whisper it so I don't alarm people because people yell about him a lot. But yeah, it's a valid concern. But they tried to address the depth. They drafted Lenore. They drafted Ambry Thomas. Unfortunately, they were banking on a player who has had a really bad injury luck to stay healthy, and it falls through way too early. That's probably the biggest what if on this season is how different. We'll talk about it when the season's over. If the Niners go, 13-4, or if they go 7-10, yeah, because I got to do math now. How big of what branch on the I forget what I was going with I had a fancy word I was going to say, but it didn't work. That's okay. The butterfly effect. There we go. We got it. We worked our way back to it of how different this defense looks with Verrett healthy for a full season. And unfortunately, we didn't even get to see it for more than a game. And
I hate
that. That was more the issue is the depth was a concern. It's just we were hoping we wouldn't have to see it. Yeah. And unfortunately we do. And that it's where we're at. And hopefully there's a soccer dad out there that can help us out and see if they can.
Are you talking about Richard Sherman?
I am talking. Did you not see his Instagram
soccer
post?
Dad?
Did you? Oh,
no. Well, he has me blocked on Twitter. So
he posted a picture on Instagram of like little lunch, like plastic bags full of like lunches, and he said probably the last Sunday being a soccer dad or something like that. Let me see. While you talk, I'll find the exact wording because I want to get it right.
Yeah, I did not. I should follow Richard Sherman on Instagram since I can't see his tweets. That would be
or
a good
just
idea
follow him through the 49K pod Twitter.
That's
account.
a good way to get blocked from that because I do that with CM Punk. Don't tell him.
Oh no. But yeah, while Andrew's looking for that, I'll tell the story of why Richard Sherman blocked me on Twitter. I think it was obviously after the it was the 2012 season, but it was in 2013, that NFC Championship game against the Seahawks. And you know everything. Try me against a sorry receiver like Crabtree. Yeah. We know the
greatest
story.
Wrestling promo of all time.
Honestly, that was iconic. In retrospect, but I was 20 years old at the time. I was a wild gal on Twitter. Twitter used to be a different place. So I told him that he pees the bed, and he blocked me.
That's
I think I literally added it.
I would have blocked you too.
I literally was just like, dude, you pee the bed, and like that was it.
He was just not having it that night.
Good for him for protecting his mental health from bullies like me. Like, I've changed. I've apologized in my head because I can't tweet him. He won't see it, but it's all love.
On one of our episodes, which he also won't listen to, but
you never know.
You never know. Yeah.
But I'm concerned about the cornerback depth. I don't know how much Richard Sherman would help, but it's got to be some kind of shot in the arm, right?
All right, he's got it.
Likely my last soccer Sunday for a while, they let me be in charge of the snacks. LOL.
Can you put it closer?
I'm like,
there you go.
Oh, cute. Oh, little
Ziploc
baggies.
So take that as who knows? That could just be the season's over. Like soccer, my little kid's soccer season could be over. He could be going.
Or he's going to another team.
Could be going to Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
It could be a million things. But yeah, that Instagram post is very interesting to say the least.
Tinfoil hat time.
I mean, honestly, even if Richard Sherman does come back, I'm still concerned about the cornerback depth. And I don't know if there's really an answer for it. And I think that's what terrifies me the most. And injuries are bound to happen. So if more injuries occur, they're going to be in an even worse spot. And as we know, injuries are inevitable. So,
yeah. And like the Silver Fox just commented, like, even if he doesn't come onto the roster and make like an immediate impact, that veteran presence for those young backs would be invaluable probably. Mm-hmm. So yeah, go for it.
I mean, especially for Lenore and Ambry Thomas. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
Oh,
so
that's why I said the name earlier.
One point about CJ Henderson. Yes. And Javi mentioned this. Trent Baalke, good point. Like he's probably not going to trade anyone from the Jaguars to the 49ers. I mean, probably still hates Jed York.
Can I counterpoint that?
Go for it.
Yes.
The Washington football team knows Kyle Shanahan doesn't like them. You could say the same thing, but the Niners offered the right price. So that for Trent Williams, that's who I'm referring to. That was an important name to mention. But yeah, no, like Sure, but I don't think that's. I mean, then again, it's Trent Baalke, who probably doesn't do business well, anyways. He hired Urban Meyer as his head coach. Jesus,
God bless
Very
him.
true. Very true.
Good riddance.
Just I hope he can stay healthy. That's all I hope for.
Yeah, definitely.
Urban Meyer.
Urban Meyer. You hope?
I hope Urban Meyer can stay healthy. Yeah.
Okay.
Stupid.
Not Trent Baalke, Urban Meyer.
Okay. You never know. He might tear an ACL just being around Baalke. You never know. Offensive line performance. Are you guys concerned, or is this just an overreaction?
I'm not concerned with the offensive line.
I'm not overly concerned.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Jimmy was under a lot more pressure than he's been the previous 2 weeks, but that was against the Lions and the Eagles. I think they did enough.
Yeah, no, like honestly, I'm the dumb football fan who just watches Trent Williams play like once, and I'm just like, yeah, the offensive line did fine. Do you see Trent Williams run that guy over? But yeah, no, I'm not too worried about it. Mike McGlinchey, like, it's just another week too. Like, I know he's the guy we like to talk about, but it's another week where you didn't really notice him. His name wasn't mentioned a lot, and that tells me, hey, he did fine too. You could tie it a little bit to the running game. Was it the offensive line's fault? I just think the Niners got outplayed in every facet of the game. Then that's really what it is. A lot of it is overreaction, but there are some concerns, and the offensive line isn't a concern.
Yeah. Well said.
I agree. I think it's an overreaction. And honestly, there were a couple of times where I wished Garoppolo moved a little bit better in the pocket. There was a couple of times like it started to collapse on him, and there was some lanes for him to like move up to or just slide to, but he just was not. He was just kind of bouncing off of his guys. It was just weird.
Did you see my?
Yeah, that was beautiful and very accurate. Especially when he did the backward pass thing. It was like, what are you doing?
What the hell, dude? Like that was one of my things where everyone's like, where's Kittle? I'm like, he's probably wide open down the field while Jimmy's flopping around like a fish in the pocket. Like, God bless him, but just does not look athletic most of the time, which again, something we all know. Something we all know, something we all knew last year, something that we dealt with and accepted in 2019. And like, that's just what I don't get. They've had so long to address this issue and they haven't. And it's just like, it's just annoying. I'm sorry. I just get on my high horse sometimes.
Still on the offense. The offense's slow starts. Are we concerned about this? This is now something we've seen 3 weeks in a row, basically. So is this a valid concern or an overreaction? Angie's concerned. Andrew's concerned. I am also concerned. Yeah, definitely. They need to get this shit figured out. Preferably, week 4. It's a great time to start, or stop your slow starts. How about that?
You know who's going to allow slow starts to happen? Rookie head coaches like Dan Campbell and Nick Sirianni and quarterbacks like Jalen Hurts and Jared Goff. That's okay to have slow starts against them because they're not quite there. Jared Goff, I would take him over Garoppolo, but that's a conversation for another day. But he's still not a guy you're going to be scared of yet. But the issue is when you have slow starts against Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur and Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll and Kyler Murray and whoever the shadow head coach is, because Cliff Kingsbury ain't doing it.
Something's going on over there.
It's hard. It's hard to have slow starts against them because you blink and you're down 17-0. And while the Niners almost did it, it's not easy to come back from that, especially against quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson and Kyler Murray. There's a trend here, right? And you can get away with it against some teams, you can't get away with it from others. And with the way, if the Jaguar game was next week, I would say no concern because, hey, you're going to get to start slow against them because they're going to put up 7 yards and 4 drives and score no points against you. But unfortunately, the schedule isn't nice that way, and they're going to have to play Russell Wilson in an offense that's pretty good to all right. And you're going to have to play a very good offense that somehow just has AJ Green now. I forget that all the time. But they have Kyler, they have DeAndre Hopkins, they have Christian Kirk, they have Jalen Reagor. Like, they're very good. Or not Jalen Reagor, the other Purdue guy, I forget his name. Rondale Moore. There we go.
Rondale Moore, yeah.
Rondale Moore. So yeah, like it's a concern. It's a very valid concern at this point, because if the Niners have slow starts the next 2 weeks, they're going to be 2-3 going into the bye week. You could put that in Sharpie.
I mean,
so very concerning.
I said it last week, like, this offense is one that is not good enough to be committing turnovers like they do. Like, offenses with Patrick Mahomes, with Aaron Rodgers, with Kyler Murray, like, they can have a few turnovers because they're going to make it up, like, in their passing game, in their overall offense. They're going to be able to score points. And with the Niners, it's like every turnover, like, for the most part, it's going to come back and bite them in the butt, because they are not a high producing offense, and they can't afford those mistakes. And so now I think we're starting to see that, like, 2 turnovers in the game last night was one of the many reasons that they lost. Like, you know, maybe if those 2 turnovers didn't happen, it's a completely different ballgame. And I know for the 80 millionth time, like, that it wasn't just on the offense that loss, but it's not something that you can just look the other way on. Like, it's a legitimate concern.
There you go. Concerned. We're all concerned about the slow starts. Hopefully they figure it out. We are like 10 minutes past an hour, so we're going to try to breeze through these last ones here. Final concern or overreaction. Kyle Shanahan's decision making all around. So clock management, the decision to not go for it on 4th and 1. Concerned, or just a overreaction?
Concern. I tweeted about this last night. I'm like, how does an average Packers fan in the stands know that you absolutely cannot give Aaron Rodgers 37 seconds on the clock and get the ball back in his hands? But granted, I mean, at the end of the day, it's going to fall on Kyle Shanahan, because clock management is his job. The professionals on the field on the 49ers don't know that. I mean, do they not know that, or are they just like, I don't know what happened? But yeah, I think that's a concern when you're making these decisions that are costing you the game. Like, every win matters, especially in the NFC West. Like, can't be out here losing on stupid crap like that, especially when you look at the end of the game and there were only 3 seconds left, that they could have ran down the play clock. They could have ran down the play clock 3 more seconds and it would have been an entirely different game. I mean, yeah, concern. And the 4th one, I know we're going to get into it, another cap or no cap, but yeah, I think it's a concern. I think it's something that people are starting to talk about more, unfortunately, but I think rightly so. You know, a lot of this pressure is starting to be placed on Kyle Shanahan. I think for a long time it's been placed on Jimmy Garoppolo. I think now Kyle is starting to feel a little bit of the heat.
I'm going to say concern, and I'm not going to play it for the scoring too early thing, because as fun as it is to say, hey, you know, they got the ball to the 1 yard line and now they have 38 seconds, just kind of pick and choose when they want to score. The Niners needed 4 tries to score at the end of the first half.
It's not that easy.
It's not like, as fun as it is to say, hey, they left too much time on the clock. You can't really pick and choose when you're going to score in the NFL, but you're absolutely right on every other point, in my opinion. The 4th and 1, like, what the hell? Like, okay, Trey Sherman lost a yard. I don't care. It's 4th and 2. It's 4th and 2, for God's sake. You should. You're Kyle Shanahan. You should have a million plays. I love this.
Can we pause and appreciate that Angie's Munchkin cat is on her shoulder right now?
He wanted to come up. He was like,
thing.
He was looking up at me. So continue, Andrew. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. I'm gladly distracted by that. Yeah, no, the 4th and 1, man, it's so concerning, because every NFL coach should be going for it in that situation, whether he thought he lost a yard or not. They needed something to spark the offense, and they punt. They
How
punt
do
to
you-
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
And then my other issue too is like, how does he decide what players he's going to use, especially and specifically the receiver situation? We're told Trent Sherfield is very good. We're being told this, and we've seen it. And now Ayuk is out of the doghouse, or whatever you want to say, and now Sherfield just doesn't exist anymore. Like, what's going on? I swear sometimes he just draws names out of a hat, and that's who he's going to use, and that's how he's going to use them, and blah, 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 this, blah, 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 that. So, yeah, it is a little bit of a concern, and I think it won't be a concern if they beat the Cowboys, the Cardinals, and the Seahawks, and they're 4-1 going into the bye week. Like, we won't be talking about this anymore. But yeah, it feels like a concern at this point.
It's like he's still trying to figure it out, which is insane, right? That's the only reason I could think of, switching all these guys in and out, and like it's like he's still trying to figure out who he wants to be his receivers.
Yeah,
which, I don't know. I feel like the season is not a good time to figure that stuff out, but that's just me.
That's just us.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, so I am also concerned about the decision making. Again, like the clock management, going back to the, them scoring too quickly. I mean, I get why they scored for all the points that we pointed out. However, I think Garoppolo snapped the ball with like 12 seconds on the play clock. Yeah. I mean, even just those few 12 seconds, like they could have ran that down a bit.
Just run it down. Like, I don't
and Garoppolo gave his reasoning, right? He said, we felt like we were in a rhythm and we don't want the Packers defense to, regroup or anything like that.
Do you think that was we or him?
I think that's him. Because I think still, I think that comes down to Kyle Shanahan, because Kyle Shanahan could have easily said, hey, run this clock down all the way to the end. And
like a coach should.
Exactly. And there's no indication that he did that, right? Also, oh my God, I have so much I could say about the decision to not go for it on 4th down. I could rip my hair out. Like, honestly, I was so angry at that. At that point, the score was 10-0. So you're down 2 scores. And they were at the 49-yard line, I believe, when that happened, right? So, and analytics tell you always go for it on 4th and 1. A lot of teams have started doing that, and it works. It works for a lot of them. And
Dan Campbell does it.
Yeah, well, not everyone can be out there biting kneecaps like Dan Campbell.
I feel bad for Don Burr.
So, and I want to go into our second cap or no cap at this point, because it goes along with the 4th and 1. Because Kyle Shanahan said he thought Trey Sherman lost yardage on the run right before on 3rd down. So it was 3rd down. He thought Trey Sherman lost yardage, and he said that was the reason that they didn't go for it. So in Kyle Shanahan's mind, it was like 4th and 3 or 4, I don't know what he thought, but he didn't think it was just 1 yard. Cap or no cap?
I pray to God that's cap, because you're the freaking head coach. How do you not know where the line of scrimmage is? What are you do? Why would you even admit that? What? I hope to God that was cap, and if it is cap, we're just making excuses for ourselves now? I'm not overly happy with the leadership at this point right now, in this moment in time.
Yeah.
I hope that's cap. I'm
going to say no cap just for that reason. That's not something you're going to lie about, because if you're lying about that, all it does is make you look bad.
But that's even worse. That makes them look bad though too.
Yeah. It's a lose-lose, honestly.
Yeah. No. But why would you lie into making yourself look bad? That's more my point.
Dude, why does he lie about anything?
Coaches be football guys.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. I don't know where that came from. But man, at least there's logic in it. I guess that if he thought it was a 4th and 2, maybe, sure, why not? But then if he says, oh yeah, I thought it was a 4th and 2, I am officially questioning Kyle Shanahan. I know you're listening. Why aren't you going for it on 4th and 2? Aaron Rodgers is going to score on you, whether it's an 80-yard drive or a 50-yard drive. You can't just be aggressive, man. Like I know he has it. I know he has it in him because he's done it. Like he was aggressive on 4th and goal with 2 seconds left on the first half. He's like, yeah, Trey Lance time. We're doing it. So yeah, I know he has it in him. Just be aggressive, man. 4th and 2 shouldn't change your opinion.
Who is the guy on the Cavs? I'm terrible with basketball.
LeBron.
Forgive me. Not LeBron. The other dude. Remember during the finals, he didn't know how much time was on the clock.
J.R. Smith.
Yes, J.R. Smith. Thank you. And like everyone was like, "You idiot! How do you not know how much time is on the clock?" Like that's how I feel right now about like how does Kyle Shanahan not? Oh, I thought he lost yards. Are you watching the game? Is anyone watching the game on the sideline? Does anyone know where the line of scrimmage is? Does anyone know how much time is left on the clock for Aaron Rodgers? I'm sorry. It's just frustrating. Control. Yeah.
Yeah, this is a tough one because like I really don't know. I'm gonna say no cap. I think he was serious, and that's just bad. Like you literally can just look up at the scoreboard or like, you know, they always have the it says how many yards. It's right there. And not just that, like they have people up at the top in some booth, you know, who could have said, "Hey coach, we have 1 yard. Why are we going for this? Or are we going to go for this?" I don't know. And the reason I do believe him is because there was a penalty. I think it was on Mac. Yeah, it was. Was it a delay of game?
You mean right after play?
Yes.
Yeah, because they lined up for the 4th and 1 for punt, and then Wisnowski just never snapped it.
Okay, so it was a delay of
game.
Which made it feel more of a conscious decision because they're taking a delay of game to give Wisnowski more space. I may have just taken your point, so I'll let you finish it.
So what I was going to say is that right before the delay of game, I think within that time, Kyle Shanahan saw that it was a 4th and 1 because he looked pissed. When you looked over after the penalty, if it was a purposeful penalty that they meant to do that, he wouldn't have been upset, right? Because it would have made sense if their decision was to punt, right?
So you're saying after the penalty, he was like, "Oh shit, it was 4th and 1."
Yeah, he looked pissed. Like he looked upset.
Dude, that's so stupid. That's so dumb. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it is dumb. But so that brings us to our Twitter tizzy, actually, and we'll just do this really quick if we could, because I know this is a loaded question. But does Kyle Shanahan deserve more blame?
I think that every coach deserves blame for whatever is happening to their team.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think there should be some blame falling on Kyle Shanahan. I think that there should be some blame falling on the entire front office for a lot of stuff, from the trades that have taken place over the past few years to, it's a tangled web, but I think at the end of the day, yes, the answer to the question is yes. That between the clock management, between the play calling, or using someone that limits your play calling, the 4th down issue, I think for sure some blame has to fall on Kyle Shanahan, like it or not,
Yeah, I'll absolutely agree. He got beat last night. He got beat by Matt LaFleur, and maybe there is some truth to the LaFleur not being happy with Shanahan for calling on Rodgers, which weird thing to be mad at. And maybe LaFleur came out and said, "No, I want to beat this guy.
I want to beat this fool."
Because we've all heard the 2019 thing. Oh, the Niners beat them in 2019. So when they're healthy, of course they're gonna always beat the Packers, and that's not the case, man. Like this is
one of those people that thought that.
If this was
are they healthy though?
if this is 2019, I'm not wearing a mask everywhere I go. Things change, right? And yeah, he flat out got beat. It felt like there was one coach who came in with a plan, and there was another coach who said, let's see where this goes. And he got beat, man. So yeah, I think it's easy to put blame on him for last night. I think when you say, well, no, the blame's not on Garoppolo because the defense didn't do well, and no, the defense isn't to blame because, Garoppolo, and you start kind of going down the list of, okay, well, who had a bad game? And it's quarterback, defense, secondary, defensive line. Now, when you start listing too many, there's just one name you could say to make it all of it, and that's Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah, and I think that dates back to the Super Bowl loss.
Yeah. Yeah, I am also on board with all of you guys, and I agree. He does probably deserve more blame than he gets, honestly. And I mean, I think, like you said, like everything goes back to him, as it should. He's the head coach. And I mean, I think especially with like the slow starts and things like that and adjustments that seem to happen kind of too late. And yeah, that'll be enough to, beat the Lions and Eagles. But, when we're talking about really good teams who have veteran coaches who have done it all before, that's not going to cut it. And we've seen like silly mistakes like that, or just like dumb decisions like that from him before. And that's why I said, like, I think his decision making is definitely a valid concern, because it's just bound to happen again. And it always seems to happen in these really close games when, really just like any one of those decisions, had he like done them differently, we could be talking about a win. So yeah, it makes a huge difference. And
I think it comes down to those 3 seconds that were still on the clock at the end of the game. Without, if there could have been an easy scenario where everyone was talking about Jimmy Garoppolo's second half comeback, and the clock management cost that. So
yeah, very true. Okay, so we've been here almost 90 minutes. It's because we can't let Andrew go. We love talking to him so much. He's just,
it's half
we want to stay on forever.
It's half my fault. That's what it is. I talk a lot. I won senior most talkative in high school. I lost the trophy somewhere. So yeah, that's what happens when you get Angie and Andrew. We just talk a lot. I mean, honestly, I knew I was talking to Angie, so I honestly blocked out 3 hours. I have another hour and a half if you want. Like, we can really dissect everything. We haven't even talked about the jerseys. Let's talk about the jerseys for 20 minutes.
Oh God,
I don't want to talk about the jerseys. Okay, so the jerseys were fire, but I don't want to talk about them because I only think about the fact that this is the first time they have lost in those jerseys. Do you know how much that pains me?
Yeah, I do.
I mean,
I feel it.
It's the city connects, they've only lost once in them. But we only talk about the wall.
Steph's like, what's a city connect?
Oh, I'm making it. Sorry.
No, I definitely know what they are, because Giants fans.
Beautiful uniforms. Love them. Chef's kiss.
Yeah, Giants fans.
You're bound to lose. I mean, would we have been like, I don't know. I think what the Niners need to do with the uniforms is just go to the triangle 49ers. And then when they win, we'll just keep them forever, because those things are kind of nice. Don't tell anybody that I said that, though, because those things are nice. Have you never seen those?
Is that one logo that you have on that hat?
No, the One Day logo. Have y'all never? Oh man!
Oh yeah.
That's the one we talked about in our. Okay, so we've talked about that one.
I like
before,
that
yes.
logo. They should go to that. Yeah, they should go to that for one game. Just a what if. That's a thought.
They should, like, after a loss, they should just be, mandated to wear those.
I'm still a big believer in the San Francisco football team. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, we love the San Francisco football team.
I can make up any topic and we can talk about it.
Oh, I'm sure. We'll have to have you on again. But before we take off, we're just, we don't have time for a full Seahawks preview. But let's just give our quick score predictions. I'm going to start with you, Ange, since you just throw some numbers out there, right?
Yeah. Don't,
Just 2 numbers. Go.
I would get mad at you for throwing me under the bus, but I said it myself. I'm going to say 28-21 Seahawks.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Thought this was a 49ers podcast. Have
I
some
don't give
faith.
up.
Have some faith, okay?
I said during our season predictions that they could possibly lose to the Packers and the Seahawks. So I'm going to stick with that. And I just don't have much faith in them right now. Sorry.
I said they'll lose to the Packers in the playoffs, not the regular season. So maybe I'm wrong. Backwards, Niners beat them in the playoffs.
I hope so.
Oh man,
Playoffs.
They're playing the Seahawks. The Seahawks are very mid to above average. Russell Wilson exists. He scares me.
Can't forget Chris Carson.
Don't forget Chris Carson.
Don't forget Chris Carson.
49ers 22, Seahawks 14. I don't know how they get to 22.
Wow,
they just
low
do
scoring.
it. They just do it.
I feel like that'd be a low scoring game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, the Niners offense the last 2 weeks makes you believe they won't have a low scoring game?
I think altogether. So I believe the 49ers won't score a lot, but the Seahawks, I feel like could.
Maybe 28 points. I'm just throwing it out there.
She's just gonna start naming random numbers.
Honestly, that's what I do
based
half
on
the time.
analysis.
Honestly, that's what I do a lot of the time.
I mean, what else can you do?
knows?
It's literally just a prediction. It's nothing serious.
22-14 Niners. Book it.
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. I like 22. That's a good number.
I don't know about you.
I'm going to say. So I think the Seahawks win. Don't hate me.
Wow.
I
thought this was a 49ers podcast.
And I think it's going to be 33-30. Say that.
Okay. Wow.
Can you at least predict blowouts? Because if the Niners lose
Dawson just commented 28-3.
Yeah.
Okay, I get the joke.
23, because there was a football game, Angie, that Kyle Shanahan was a coach in.
Mother trucker.
There we go.
Mother trucker, dude.
All right, end this.
Okay, Angie. Okay, by the way, Angie, in our last episode, Angie said we should get T-shirts that say "This is fine."
Oh yeah.
I noticed it. I noticed it.
Okay, so I ordered it like a few days ago, like after our episode, obviously, and I was like, okay, that'd actually be a cool shirt, right? Because I love that meme. And it just so happened that they lost yesterday, so I was like, okay, this is even more perfect, and it came in the mail today, so I was like, I gotta wear it.
I love it.
So we'll have to get you one too.
No better feeling than getting clothing on record day, because then you just wear it.
You wear
it. Wear the newest thing on the pod.
But I do want to iron on a little Niner hat on his head.
Don't give me ideas. Okay, don't give me ideas.
I want to put Velcro, and I want to be able to switch out the hat, so I could have it like Giants. I could have it Niners. Yeah, exactly.
Sharks, Warriors.
Yeah.
It's interchangeable. Yeah, it could be.
Interchangeable.
All right. Well, yes, we have taken up so much of your guys' time. Thank you so much if you guys have tuned in to the whole thing. If not, it will be up on all streaming platforms tomorrow. And yeah, we're very excited to have Andrew on. Thank you so much for coming on with us. We had a great time.
Thanks,
Anything
Jimmy.
for you two. Anything for you
Thanks,
two.
Jimmy.
Jimmy, Andrew.
It is what it is.
Wow, Wahoo is one. I love Wahoo. Wahoo.
What is that?
All right, guys.
All right.
Thank you and peace.
Peace. Gotta do the peace. Yeah.